Cyprus, that beautiful island in the Mediterranean, and the venue for the last round of the European Rally Championship. The European Rally Circus was joined by the winner of last year's event, Welshman David Llewellyn, and co-driver Phil Short. He's the tall one. They were driving one of a pair of Rothmans Audi Quattros.
We've done 6 days practice, and in the rally cars it does get very, very hot. Lots of problems we had last year was due to the heat, but the lads have fitted extra coolers to the power steering and gearbox and fuel to try and get rid of the problems that we learnt about last year.
Same car as the Jordan Rally here?
No, it's this is a Group A car. In Jordan we used the old Group B A2 Quattro with about 420 horsepower, and this is a Group A car which only has 200, so it's quite a big difference actually in the car, but basically all the running gear is the same, bar the engine.
But the regulations over here don't allow Group B anymore?
That's right, they still allow Group B in Jordan, in the Middle East, but this is coefficient 20 of the European Championship, and it's to the Group A and Group N regulations, so you have to abide by these.
David, you're no stranger over here. You won here last year. What about the competition this year here?
Of course, last year was fantastic rally and result for myself. First time we have ever competed in Cyprus. We learned a lot from last year, and I'm fairly confident this year, but you've mentioned the competition. I mean, it's very, very strong. I don't think there's been such a strong field as this in the European Championship for many years. There's a couple of reasons. One reason is that there's still 3 people can win the European Championship, so they're all here to get extra points, and of course the Works Toyota's cars which are here to test and prove their car to the conditions.
Which do you fear the most of those, do you reckon? Toyota or the BMW or what?
Of course I think the Toyota, because they're works cars and work support, so I mean they have the best of everything. There's obviously a few good Lancias as well, but they don't have works backing so much, so maybe they'll have a few problems. But saying that, I mean Toyota, it's a fairly new car still, and they've been having problems, few small problems, and this is why they're here to iron those out. So you know, it's anybody's rally in the top of 8 or 10, I would say. It's very difficult to predict. I mean, the Rothmans Audi is well-proven Group A car and is very strong and reliable. So, you know, I'm quite hopeful from that point.
It's tiring and hot and dusty, but nevertheless, do you enjoy Cyprus?
Yes, very much so. I mean, obviously helps when you win. I mean, last year we won and we had a great time, but it's a very nice country, and the people are very friendly. And the rally is very hard and rough and hot, which you talked about, but then this gives you the challenge anyway. So, you know, we're looking forward to it again, and the challenge.
You beat these Toyotas and BMWs?
Well, I'm going to try, Barry, but the BMW, of course, is rear-wheel drive, so I don't think that's going to be a threat. It's a 4-wheel drive car rally, so it's the Toyotas and the Lancias which are going to be the main opposition. And as we've talked about, I mean, the Toyota's fairly new, Lancia's fairly well proven, but it's not actually a works car that Tabaton is driving, so he's had a few problems this year. So I'm hoping that, I don't think we'll be quite as quick, to be honest, but I'm hoping that the reliability and the strength of the car will show up in the end.
Also helpful were the crews of Toyotas, with car number 1 driven by that Swedish ace Björn Waldegård, and sitting next to him his co-driver Fred Gallagher.
Well, the Celica 4-wheel drive is still a relatively new car, and we need a lot more competition mileage on it. It showed a lot of potential so far, a few little teething problems, so we're here just to get more mileage really on the cars.
The team must be very pleased with the way it performed in Finland.
Oh yes, I think the potential is absolutely there. We've seen it really in Greece, Finland and in Germany, where we rallied earlier this year.
Why do you think Cyprus is a particularly tough testing ground for the cars, Fred?
Well, it's probably the hottest rally that you can find without going outside Europe, which of course would be good for African testing. It's very, very twisty, slow, quite relatively rough roads, and it's the nearest thing you can get to a World Championship rally without actually going to the expense of doing a full World Championship rally. Obviously there is big opposition from David Llewellyn and from Tabaton with the Lancia, and I'm sure a few others as well.
As Llewellyn was leaving the starting ramp, Waldegård was already indicating this was to be no pussyfoot testing session. Llewellyn soon joined him on the dusty gravel tracks, the Audi's exhaust note booming off the hillsides. Car number 3 was the Lancia Integrale of Fabrizio Tabaton, while behind him came the early pace-setter Kenneth Eriksson in the other Works Toyota. Heading the two-wheel drive contingent was Patrick Snijers in the M3 BMW. Then it was the Cypriot driver Terzian in the Audi Quattro. With just 5 special stages under their sump guards, it was the Swedish maestro Waldegård who led the rally. Teammate Eriksson had lost his early lead after a puncture and was already complaining about loss of visibility in the dust. Up into 3rd place was Tabaton in the Lancia. In 4th spot after a time-consuming puncture was David Llewellyn, and he clearly didn't intend to remain there for long. Another of the Works Lancias. This is Arletti, who was lying 5th after the 5 stages. In 6th place, Snijers in the ProDrive BMW, and locking one of his undriven front wheels. Terzian, soon to be in trouble after a really heavy landing, jarred his sump guard, knocked off his fan belt and stopped his alternator charging. Then came Mavropoulos in the Ford Sierra XR4. Further down the field, another local driver, Geropoulos, in his Nissan Silvia. By the end of the first night, David Llewellyn was becoming aware of the problem which lay ahead of him. The first 3 cars, all of them turbocharged, and just not enough power under his own right foot.
Give us a rundown.
Well, it's gone fairly well. We've had a couple of time-consuming punctures, which we've maybe lost 4 minutes, but I don't think it would have made a lot of difference to the position we're in anyway. The Toyotas and the one Lancia are quicker than us, and there's not a lot we can do about it. However hard we try, they're still quicker on the stages, so we're quicker than anybody else behind us, so really we're just plugging on there, hoping that one of them will fail, or a couple of them will fail, so we can improve on our position.
Apart from the punctures, any other problems during the night and yesterday?
No, the first stage we had an overheating problem, and the car was blowing out a lot of water. It's the same stage we had a lot of problems on last year, actually. It's very twisty, and of course it's the heat of the day at about 3 o'clock, and there's not much air getting into the car because it is so twisty. But since that, it's been behaving itself fairly well, and just these couple of punctures I mentioned.
How have the stages been?
Fairly rough and hard, and quite a lot of ruts from practice. A lot of stones out from these lads in front of me, because I had the privilege of running first car last year, and I threw the stones out for everybody else, but they seem to be doing the job now. So this is probably why we're having a few punctures.
So you've got the 2 Toyotas and the Lancia ahead of you, and there's no hope of catching them. You think they're just running away out?
That's right. On every stage, well, if the stage is very tight, we might be able to just get near them, but it's never quicker than them. So all the time they're sort of creeping away from us, but there seems to be a bit of a fight on in the Toyota camp, so Eriksson is catching Waldegård again, so you know, you never know. Your luck.
And what about behind you? Anybody threatening you at all?
No, we're going away from everybody behind us by a fairly large margin. The guy behind us, we're taking half a minute stage out of him, so there's no danger from behind at all. But you know, it's a job to see how we're going to improve unless somebody has the misfortune of having problems.
And Terzian, in the other David Sutton Audi, had been in more serious trouble. 4 drive shaft changes and an altered steering geometry, all following that heavy landing and then the loss of all his lights.
Our lights we lost our lights in the last stage before coming into Paphos. So we lost quite a few minutes there. Well, it's been eventful.
Sounds like it.
Yes.
Well, what position are you lying in now then?
Well, I don't really honestly know. But if we don't have any more problems with the car, I think we can move up places.
What are they doing to the car just now?
I think they're checking the front axle, drive shaft.
Maybe the drive shaft has broken again, has it, just now?
No, I don't think so. It's just maybe there's something loose there, I don't know.
Is the rally turning out to be tougher than you anticipated?
Well, it's always been a tough rally, the Cyprus rally, you know. It's just that I think it was unfortunate because the problem with the lights, you know, it's something that it happens. It's a bad luck, I would say. You know?
Were you having to drive in the dark then with no lights at all?
The whole, the last stage, the whole stage, we started without lights, and the last 4 kilometers, my co-driver had to go in front of the car with a torchlight, and I was following him, and he was running, and I was following him, you know. And the car wouldn't move anyway because it was nearly, the battery had gone completely, and it was just the engine wouldn't go.
By stage 12 on the second day, the Toyotas had built an almost comfortable lead of 3 minutes over everyone else, and it was Waldegård, leading his teammate Ericsson by 1.5 minutes and demonstrating on tarmac and on the loose a very fair turn of speed. Ericsson was putting up times almost as fast as Waldegård, often tying with him. And both of them extending their lead over third-place man Tabaton in the Lancia. Both the Toyotas and Tabaton's Lancia were pulling away from Llewellyn in the Quattro, and there seemed very little the Welshman could do about it, in spite of some absolutely flat-out driving. In the BMW, Snijers had worked his way up into 5th place, a very fine effort, only to have his chances destroyed 2 stages later when he hit a tree, knocked a wheel off and was out of the rally. And that put paid to his chances of winning the European Rally Championship. Terzian in the Audi was chasing Snijers and coping with a cracked crossmember. It really needed changing, but a burst of welding was all that time allowed. In the Ford Sierra and holding on to 7th place, Mavropoulos. Behind him, Geropoulos, 8th in the Nissan Silvia. At the end of the second day, Waldegård in the Celica GT4 was heading the leaderboard. But behind him, Ericsson was now missing from second place, and instead, it was the Lancia Integrale of Fabrizio Tabaton. Moving up into third place, a surprised and delighted David Llewellyn in the Rothmans Audi Quattro. And the cause of all that reshuffling on the leaderboard was this man, Kenneth Eriksson. He had punctured 4 miles from the end of an earlier stage, then suffered another one, and had finished the stage with the back of the car literally dragging on the ground and suffered 17 minutes in road penalties. Suddenly, Terzian here was just 3 minutes behind the previously invincible Toyota of Ericsson. Mavropoulos in the Mobil-sponsored car was doing his best to keep the Ford flag flying. Right behind him was Giropoulos in the Nissan. And in 8th place, local man Hadji Vassiliou in the only Golf GTI. So, at the end of day 2, as Toyota Celica number 4 checked in at the time control at the Lidra Hotel, it was a chastened Ericsson who was on hand to explain his sudden relegation to 4th place.
Maybe it was my mistake. I had flat tires in the rear 5 kilometers from the end, and I knew it was very sandy and no stones, so I tried to go the normal speed with the flat tires, but just 300 meters before the finish, all come loose, the hub and everything. So it took a long time to repair it. So that's it.
You got to the end of the stage, though, obviously.
No, 300 meters before, so everything was gone. So I was coming to the finish and out to the transport and everything, but it took too long time to repair it.
How long did it take to repair it?
I think I was 17 minutes late or something in the time control.
So this has really dropped you well down?
Yeah, it is.
Because you're doing so well up to there.
Yeah, it was quite okay.
Has the Toyota improved since Finland? You had a few problems over there.
No, I think also the whole this year the Toyota was very fast, but we have some small silly problem because the car is quite new. So I hope Björn can win tomorrow now.
Attack tomorrow and hopefully get second spot. I'm not sure. I expect Ericsson has taken his brain out now and is climbing the field pretty quickly, but I haven't learned yet how far behind he is.
How many stage miles? Are there enough stage miles tomorrow for you to catch Tabaton?
This afternoon we've been taking about a second a kilometre out of him, and there's actually 90 kilometres of stages tomorrow, so there is just a minute and a half there, and we're a minute and a half behind him, so it's going to be close. I think it depends a little bit how he gets up in the morning, what sort of mind he's in.
Now, you've talked about the other people's problems. Any problems of your own today, David?
Yes, another puncture, yet another puncture. I think I'll have to drive a little bit in the middle of the road tomorrow. We clipped a rock on stage 13, and this caused a problem with the wishbone and the wheel also touching the back of the arch, and we think that's why it punctured. So the lads changed the wishbone as well because it had bent a coupling on that, and they've changed the drive shaft as a precaution on the same side, so hopefully we can have a good day tomorrow.
Here you go.
Early morning on the third and last day of the rally, and with the pressure now off him, Waldegård can afford to cruise over the last stages, if this is your idea of cruising. Tabaton, now in a safe second place, drove just fast enough to fend off that Welsh farmer Llewellyn and clinch in the process his hold on the European Championship. and David Llewellyn set out to claw back some time from Tabaton, especially on the rougher stages. But it still wasn't quite enough to move him up from third place. Fairly blasting his way over the first of the last 6 stages was Ericsson. He'd started the day badly when the car suffered a flat battery in the Parc Fermé, and that cost him another 30 seconds. Desperate to hang on to 5th place was Mavropoulos in the Sierra XR4. Equally desperate to take it away from him was the Nissan driver Geropoulos. These two were having a very lively rally indeed. Evidence of how much Björn Waldegård had backed off was shown in his stage times on the last day. He was still faster than everyone else, except Ericsson. Tabaton was feeling secure in second and was untroubled by so much as a puncture. While the ever-enthusiastic Llewellyn tried his hardest to upset the Lancia driver's calm. Poor Ericsson. After his flat battery, a prop shaft joint failed on stage 17, reducing him temporarily to 2-wheel drive. Mavropoulos still hanging on to 5th, but about to be pipped by Nissan man Geropoulos. By the last stage in this, the toughest rally in the European Championship, the very professional Waldegård was set to complete a very convincing demonstration of the new Toyota's capabilities. Finishing in a strong 2nd place, Fabrizio Tabaton in the Lancia Integrale. Fighting hard up to the last second of the last stage, the doughty Llewellyn. Easily, the fastest man on the closing stages was Kenneth Ericsson, trying very, very hard to move up into 3rd place. Geropoulos, who set 4th fastest time on stage 19, finally caught and passed Mavropoulos in the Ford, relegating him to 6th. Terzian suffered a broken wishbone and repairs to the crossmember, which meant 5 minutes road penalties, but he still managed 7th overall. So, Waldegård came home the winner. You might almost call it a Björn again victory. So the final results look like this. Björn Waldegård, number 1, Tabaton in 2nd place, and David Llewellyn in the Rothmans Audi Quattro 3rd. So while Swede Waldegård and his Irish co-driver Fred Gallagher celebrate, what happened to the Welshman Llewellyn?
Going to take 2nd place. What's happened?
I tried. First stage after the result this morning, it was quite a fast stage uphill, and Tabaton took 14 seconds. So I thought we're going to have a bigger attack than I thought. And on the next stage, I spun just 3 corners into the stage through trying too hard, really. And really, he just could take time when he wanted to take time. In fact, we finished 40 seconds behind him, but he was controlling the pace. I mean, if he wanted to go a bit quicker, he was just turning his turbo up a little bit, and he could take time off us.
Still third place. Not a bad result.
No, very, very happy. I mean, in the company that's here, I think 3rd place is very good. I mean, you know, ex-world champion.
European champion to be now from this result on this event. Extremely happy to be in third.
Björn, congratulations, another victory to notch up. Was this an easy victory for you?
Not really. I mean, of course, we haven't been pushing too hard for the last 2 legs, but still, it's a tough rally.
How do you compare with other rallies in the world?
I said many times that each rally has its own character, and this one has very own character because of the incredible twisty roads.
Did that give you any trouble?
No trouble, but they are, let's say, they are a little bit too twisty.
And now it looks as though the Toyota is okay now after all its initial teething troubles.
I think we're getting closer to be all right for World Championship, yeah.
So, Tabaton's second place puts him firmly in the lead in the European Rally Championship with a total of 1,640 points. Sneyer's second, Arletti third, Droogmans fourth and Rainieri fifth.